I can sell you a car, which is basically a room with 4 wheels, an engine, the tires, whatever. The basics to keep you on the road, and that thing will work and work and work, and you'll have no complaints of it.
So ETOs. So ETOs.
Yeah, okay, fine. ETOs is actually a good example. But if I charge you 1,000 rupees for that, versus now I say I give you a music system with 4 speakers. Then I say I give you 8 speakers. Then I give you 2 screens. I can go from charging 1,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees, and you will not bat an eyelid because you'll see it as obvious value.
Yeah.
And so every time you get swayed by features, think how much of it is actual value.
Correct.
And I find it like the cars, I mean, our Ignis is second from base. I wish it had a few more things. I really do, which I think should be standard. But the core of it, great engine is there, great suspension was there, seating position good, all of it was in place. Everything else was like, yeah, we'll see about it. If we need it, we add it on later.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. And I think in the bikes also, bikes are far less complicated objects. They don't have so many systems, which is why also margins on bikes are lower. I was talking to somebody and I was saying, the more things you put into a thing, each of those things is then therefore marginable and monetizable.
Absolutely.
So you can build a car's margins up, which is why the top models become so expensive. It's not just because they have more features, it's also because there's more margin on them, which is why the dealer will always try to get you to buy a higher model than the one you think you should be buying, right? On a motorcycle, we hear things like, I'm not buying this bike because when I took it for a test ride, it gave me a sharp pain in my shoulder.
You need to work out more.
No, it's not just work out more. One is, then that begs the question, are you sitting right? Because if you sit correctly on a motorcycle, usually your lower body should ache from the strain of riding, but your upper body should actually not feel any stress. So the first thing I took away from that DM or whatever was, okay, so they need to sit better. But at this point, if I say, hey, listen, it's not the motorcycle, you are sitting wrong, then the conversation goes to another place only, because he's like, hey, listen, I just wanted to tell you that I rode these 3 bikes, out of which I'm rejecting this because the bike gave me a pain. You're telling me I'm riding wrong. Why aren't the other bikes hurting? I was like, yeah, but this would be a moot discussion if you didn't like the bike that hurt you. You clearly like that bike. Whatever you've told me about you so far in terms of family expectation, use pattern, that sounds like the bike that you're gravitating towards. And you're letting the fact that you don't sit correctly on a handlebar defeat you. You can change the handlebar. It's not a big deal. First, you can adjust the handlebar. Give it a couple of weeks to see if that solves it. But we have rejected a bike that would otherwise fit neatly into their lifestyle and give them great joy at the sense of, yeah, handlebar is not working for me. And I've seen the other side also. I'm buying a Multistrada, I'm buying a GS, I'm buying an Africa Twin, I'm buying a Transalp. Which risers should I put? You are still buying it, no? I always put a riser. But why? What are you, 92 feet tall?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why the handlebar is at that height, and it does give you some pros and a few cons. And if you discover enough cons, please put the riser. But what is this? I booked the bike, it will get delivered in 6 weeks' time, so I should buy a riser now.
Dude, I honestly don't get this at all. For motorcycles, honestly, I just have not got this. When people find small things and they just get stuck with that. Motorcycle is such an intimate acquisition. Either it works for you or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And if something is not working for you, you know it from inside, and you'll like कि ये नहीं चाहिए, ये मेरे लिए नहीं काम कर रहा.
Correct. And on a motorcycle, to further your point, there's very few things that you can't actually adjust to yourself, and you should just be aware of those. Right? For example, you cannot change the nature of the engine quite easily. If it is a YB engine, there is no real way to make it dramatically much smoother. You can have marginal improvements by putting a piggyback ECU, making it less run more rich or whatever. It'll give you minor benefits. But if it has fundamental vibration is not going anywhere. If the gear shifts are a hard shift, you can have time ease those shifts out. But you can't fundamentally change the nature of that. Suspension you can do stuff with. You can very cheaply add or subtract fluid from it and change the compression a little bit without really spending any money on it. In the same process, you can also change the weight of that fluid and change the compression a little bit, or you can spend money and buy adjustable suspension and then adjust it to your liking. Tires you can upgrade.
Yeah.
The 401 Svartpillen came with Pirellis. Then the tire thing happened. Then it went back to Apollos. The law says private citizens like you and me can buy Pirellis from the open market, as expensive as they are or whatever. There's no restriction on that. Bajaj cannot buy the Pirellis. Now, Should Bajaj have adjusted the price of the 401 to reflect the fact that it went from an imported Italian tire to an Indian tire? Yes, perhaps they should have. But how is this a deal breaker? If you own the bike for the next 5 years, these tires will be done in a year and a half. After which you're going to have to change tires anyway. Go spend the money on the Pirelli. What is this? A cheap thrill that I'll get the stock bike with Pirellis, then I have a great time for a year and a half. After that, I'll be the cheapskate and buy the Apollos instead.
Correct.
But a lot of people who liked the 401, they enjoyed the experience of riding it, came back to this point of, but they didn't give me a price cut, so I can't buy it. But the big picture of it is in the end of 5 years is the same thing.
No. Are you serious?
Yeah.
If you don't like opinions and opinionated people, then my recommendation is do not head to the MotorInc channel, because you're 100% going to get a clear shot at what we are thinking, and our hope is that it'll help you. So choose wisely.